Douglas Herbert,
Francois.
just to give a flavor of what this
Yeah.
convention's going to be like these next 4 days. Among those who are speaking, turning heads, you might say, is a husband and wife duo.
Yeah, the duo is Mark and Patricia McCloskey. You might remember them because they're a white couple who stood on the porch of their mansion in a gated community in St. Louis, brandishing firearms. He was holding a semi-assault rifle. Patricia, was holding a silver pistol when, during a Black Lives Matter protest that was marching past their house. Now, why are they so controversial? Well, for a couple of reasons. Since that incident, which went viral across social media, it's stoked the culture wars in America. And this is a calculated, if any couple or any speakers at this convention are going to play into that fierce divide in America, those so-called culture wars, it's this. You've had Black Lives Matters activists absolutely outraged, furious over what this couple did. You've meanwhile had Second Amendment, the gun rights people, basically defending them to the hilt. You've had the city of St. Louis, where they live and where this episode happened, actually file charges against them for a Class E felony. What was it? Waving firearms in a threatening manner at nonviolent protesters. So you really have, writ large here, in a symbolic speaker duo, all of the polarization in America and all that we talk about when we talk about the culture wars. This is what Donald Trump is going to, this is a deliberate strategy, to play on this polarization and to try to stoke those divisions in America, at least from his critics' point of view, because he's following a Democratic convention, as you know, Francois, which, whatever you might think of it, was focused and pretty much on message. And that message was that Donald Trump is an existential threat to American democracy.
The Republican candidate who had a formula, that us versus them formula, that worked in 2016.
Yeah, you did have the us versus them. The problem right now is that this convention is coming amidst one of the worst crises in modern American history, or one of the most series of back-to-back crises all happening at the same time. You have the coronavirus pandemic, which was central to the message of the Democratic convention, and namely, as the Democrats see it, Trump's absolute bungling, botching of his handling of this pandemic, the economic collapse, which it still is in the United States. You've even had recent jobless numbers, which they were hoping would look better, aren't better, and Trump's fitness for office and racial justice, all coming at the exact same time. But that formula
fueling outrage during these next 4 days,
yes.
Will it work again?
And this is the question, because, you know, traditionally, why are conventions important? You could say that the effect doesn't last long, but you get what's called a post-election bounce. In the past, you're right, the strategy has worked to perfection for Donald Trump, and that's why he vanquished all his rivals, all 17 of them, in the Republican primaries back in 2016, came out on top. What the Democrats are hoping, and perhaps what some Republicans fear, is that what a lot of Americans are looking for right now is less of that shrill tone, less of that division, stoking of division, and more stability, composure, competence. And perhaps what they're looking for is something a little dull, a little boring. And at the end of the day, for a lot of Americans, Joe Biden fits that description to a T. So while the strategy worked well, it worked well in its context in a very different time. A lot has changed in those 4 years, Francois. So right now, going into this convention, we heard that in that report there saying just bashing the other guy might not work this time around, and that's because the times, they haven't changed.